Welcome to another online meeting hosted by Sobriety Engine. All are welcome in our meetings, and we thank you for joining us. Sobriety Engine is an online platform that provides meetings and resources to people struggling with drug or alcohol addiction. Sobriety Engine is not a 12-step fellowship. However, all 12-step fellowships are welcome in our meetings. We understand that many of us who attend online meetings will have a recovery background in a 12-step fellowship. For that reason, we welcome you to share about sponsorship, the 12 steps, your experience with spiritual principles, and any lessons you may have learned in the Big Book, the Simple Text, or any other 12-step literature. Sobriety Engine is also accepting of other recovery-related programs. Your program is your program. We support you and appreciate you being here. If you feel compelled to introduce yourself as an alcoholic or an addict, please do so. However, this is not a requirement to speak or share at our meetings. Maybe this digital meeting is your first taste of recovery. If so, we hope you come here with an open mind and willingness to listen to others. Sobriety Engine also accepts and welcomes people from all walks of life, regardless of your skin color, your belief system, your gender, or your sexual identity. You are welcome in our online meetings. Finally, we ask that you come into our meetings with an open mind about spiritual principles. Many of us are clean and sober today because of the spiritual principles we have founded our lives on. No one will push their beliefs on you. We will only welcome you with open arms. This will be a live recorded meeting. It will also be a speaker meeting. Tonight we'll have a guest speaker. During that time, I'll ask that everyone keep their microphones muted and listen in. When our speaker is done sharing, the meeting will be opened up to offer support, ask some questions for the speaker, or address any issues that other members might be experiencing. If you do decide to share at that time, please leave it for about 3 minutes. Try to keep your shares respectful, and if you are going to be on camera, make sure that it is pointing at your face and you are respectful. So it's Saturday night, and this is our first night meeting here. So a lot of new faces in here, which I like. As always, I like to ask our speaker, who's going to be Tori tonight. I ask our speaker to provide 2 words that they feel would best describe their journey in recovery. And Tori gave me the curveball of dysfunction and determination. And at first I was like, yeah, dysfunction, that's good. And then I thought about how dysfunctional like my thinking pattern is as an addict, not necessarily just, growing up in my environment and things like that. But yeah, trauma, it just, so I found this quote for Tori. If the structures of the human mind remain unchanged, we will always end up recreating the same world, the same evils, the same dysfunction. And to me, there's just a lot of determination involved in sobriety for me because of how many times I've tried to do this, and I have never gotten rid of my thinking patterns, and that's the dysfunction of the whole disease itself. And there's an immense amount of determination required to overcome thinking on my end. So I'll post this in chat box for us. I'll take a deep breath here before Tori shares, and then we'll listen in. All right, Tori, go for it.
Awesome. Well, I love that quote, and thank you, Travis, for asking me to speak. I never say no when someone asks me to either provide service or speak, even as much as I feel uncomfortable and awkward doing it. I know that to keep what I have, I have to give it back. So my sobriety day is February 3rd, 2017. However, the first time I've been in and out of recovery, the rooms, whatever you want to call it, since I was 18. And so that's 10 years now. And so I, when Travis asked me, give me 2 words to describe your journey, Well, dysfunction is one of them, because, I was born, and my mom is in here and she would probably attest to this, I was born into dysfunction. And I believe that, I was born an alcoholic, an addict. I believe that I have the disease of alcoholism, which is a lot of the isms, and that I have a thinking problem, and I use drugs and alcohol to deal with that. And it worked for me for a very long time. My father was an alcoholic, and my mother is very codependent. And so, growing up, I just remember my dad drinking every night on the couch. Would drink himself to sleep. Basically, me and my mom would watch TV on the couch with him, and then we would always fall asleep on the couch, and he would walk us both up to bed while he stayed downstairs on the couch watching, the Tonight Show and continuing to drink. And that was a very early childhood memory of mine. And obviously I believe that my disease was genetic. I believe I was born into it, but at the same time, my dad's alcoholism did not progress. I progressed my alcoholism. It wasn't him that got me to where I am today. I don't blame any of my issues on him. I am an adult child of an alcoholic, but I have the power to change, and correct my actions. So, I remember and I know a lot of people talk about this, but just feeling different when I was younger. I was made fun of for being overweight as a kid, and I remember it like yesterday still, and but I was always involved in something, and probably involved in a little too much because I was always trying to get out of myself. So, the first thing that I ever got involved in was Scottish dancing. I would go around Southern California to different Highland game competitions, um, and I hated it. I absolutely hated it. But I had a neighbor that did it, so I did it with her. I'd wear a kilt, put my hair in a bun, the whole ball of wax. But um, and I think it was then that I was like, okay, I feel this is making me feel another way because I am winning like medals and doing competition, And so from then I was like, I started doing art classes, and then I was like into horseback riding, and then I started songwriting, and then I started playing guitar, and then I played softball, So it's like, I did all these different things. And one of the common denominators was when I was fearful of it, I quit, and I never finished it. Um, when I was going into high school, I wanted to go to this performing arts high school. I did everything, I got in, and then it was like 2 weeks later, we had to memorize a song, and I didn't memorize it. So I was like, I'm going back to this public school because like, F this, it was like every situation that I got myself in, if I got in trouble or I was backed into a corner or whatnot, it was on to something else. And that's how I've lived my life for a very long time, up until it didn't work for me anymore. So I found music, and that had become my thing. In high school, I didn't really pay attention in high school because I was like, I'm going to be a big music star, and I'm going to move to Nashville. That's my place. That's where I want to be. And so I started experimenting, obviously, like most of us in high school. The first time I got drunk, I was in my backyard at a family party, and I was 14. I was taking sips out of everybody's mixed drinks in the jacuzzi, and I was, very, very drunk, passed out in my room. My best friend to this day took care of me, and I felt great. I thought to myself, this is awesome. I want to be like all of these older people. And I can't wait till I'm this age so I can do this forever. And I'm the youngest of three. So my sisters are 13 years and 10 years older than me. They all have kids, and we have different dads. So my oldest nephew is 4 years younger than me, so we're more like brother and sister. But so it was very like summers I would spend the time at my sister's house. Now she has 6 kids, so it's like I was taking care of them, and I just felt like this. I think part of me felt unseen and trying to find a place in this world, because I had 2 older sisters that had kids. My dad was an alcoholic. My mom was codependent, trying to control my dad's drinking. While here I am trying to figure out where I fit in. And I think that, for me, I got kind of lost in that process. So music became my outlet. And so when I was in high school, I really got into that. And I said, fuck high school, fuck all my classes, I'm gonna not pay attention to any of you guys. When I was in high school, I developed a very bad eating disorder, which is the first time that I went to treatment for my eating disorder. I was 18, but I went to college in Nashville. So after I graduated college, I took a semester off because I didn't know what I wanted to do, and got into a school in Nashville. And I said, all right, here I go. All my problems are going to be fixed. I'm going to be the next singer songwriter. And here we go. And so I went to a very, very conservative Christian college in Nashville. It's like 1,000 undergrad, very small. And I said, yeah, great, the college experience. And it wasn't. I had to go to chapel twice a week, and I had to sign out a pass. And if I wanted to spend the night somewhere, so it was very like, I still felt very controlled and very like, oh my gosh, I can't live my life, right? So obviously, like, everything got worse. I started drinking more. I skipped class. My eating disorder was the worst it's ever been. And so one night I thought I was, I was just, I remember I would skip class, and we talk about drugs and alcohol, but my eating disorder contributed to my alcoholism. I remember I'd skip class and I would go buy massive amounts of food and come back and, and purge. And so, I remember getting on the phone with my mom and telling her, like, this is what's going on. And this is the dysfunction in my family, right? I told my mom what was going on. The next day she was on a flight trying to figure out how to help me. And she always talks about this, and my mom's huge into Al-Anon now, but she talks about, she bought me a blender and a bunch of food and was like, this is going to help you. You need to figure this out. And I said, F that, and I went into treatment. And I was in treatment for 3 months in the middle of nowhere in Tennessee. And I had so much fun, and I learned so much more about other drugs. And it was, it was great. I met some good friends there. I started getting involved in Native American spirituality practices and stuff. And today, like, I still am very into that. But I thought I was going to go to treatment and all my problems were going to be solved, and that wasn't the case. I was still my own worst enemy, and they always say, wherever you go, there you are. Well, that's exactly what I experienced. I went to a sober living house right after I left that facility, and I was very uncomfortable. They said, you need to go to all these meetings. They said, you're an alcoholic too. And I said, F that. No, I'm not. Hopped on a plane at 3 a.m. back to California to go live with my family. So, and when I got home, my family said, you need to go again, go again to somewhere. So, and that was the next multiple years of my life, in and out. I need to go in somewhere to dry out. I need to go somewhere. And progressively over time, I started drinking more. Once I got like my eating disorder under control, well, here it was, my alcoholism, and I started drinking, in the morning. I started putting putting vodka in water bottles. I mean, you name it. And we all know the deal. And, and yeah, so that was a lot of my life. I was in treatment in Arizona and Pennsylvania. I mean, literally everywhere. And, I thought that, well, maybe going to a facility for 30, 60 days would do the trick. And a lot of the time I did it to appease my family. So, it was like, all right, I'm going to go here for a couple of days and see, like, and everything looks good. And I look totally fine. So, and when I was 15, my dad went to a treatment facility and for his alcoholism. And my family always said, Tori, you're going to be the next, you're going to be an alcoholic. Like, this is going to be you. And I said, like, no, I'm not. It was a very common theme. Like, F you, I'll show you, watch me. And my dad went to a treatment facility where they're very against 12-step. They're very against AA. So when people said, well, you have to do this. So I said, no, I don't. My dad didn't have to do it. So why should I? And it was very, very dysfunctional in that sense. So, I was in and out of halfway houses, sober living houses. I was living in a sober living house in Santa Monica, California. And I manipulated my parents into letting me come home for New Year's. And I said to my dad, I'm going to come home for New Year's, spend time with you guys. I'm not going to drink, get into anything, any business. I was living in a sober living house. So my dad eventually got in a fight with the halfway house manager so that my daughter's not going to drive on Thanksgiving, whatever. And went out with my friends and did it and got wasted and got kicked out. So, here to another sober living house. And I went to it was an NA convention, and I was with a friend, and we sought out a drug dealer there. And that was the first time I ever did heroin. Was kind of fucked up. And since then, that was, I think, just when things got a lot worse. Things got a lot worse physically. I definitely had a physical bottom. So I went to a place in Pennsylvania and for 30 days, and it was snowing, and I was like, I don't do the snow. I don't do the damn snow, like, and so they said, you need to go to a place in Florida. And I said, well, Florida, sure, sounds good to me. So I went to Florida, and I went to a place for aftercare, and I was there for 6 months. And they said, get a sponsor. All right, I'll do it. Everyone else seems to be doing it. Why not? I'll do it. And basically at this place, they basically tell you that, like, they lay down the law, and they're like, you've been treating your family this way. You're a piece of shit. I mean, I don't want to say it like that, but I'm saying it like that because that's kind of how the mentality was, and it was something that I at the time needed because I was very entitled and had been handed everything and very manipulative and lied and cheated and that's something I needed. So, I got a sponsor. I think I stayed sober for 9 months. And I remember it was Thanksgiving, and I was at an AA meeting, and I was drunk. I was and I was with my friends, and I had relapsed, and they said, you're drunk. And I said, no, get the fuck out of here. I'm not. And I just remember I had talked to my family earlier that day and said everything was fine. And then they got a call later that night that I had been admitted into a detox, and it was just one of the worst things, on Thanksgiving night when your family is across the country having a nice dinner. That was not something I now look back on that I was proud of. So I think for me, that was a realization that, holy shit, like I need to start getting my shit together because, my family's been disappointed. So, you know, I did that. I did it again. I got back on and I stayed sober for 2.5 years. And I was, you know, working in treatment. I was sponsoring people. And then, you know, I mean, Florida for me was such a safe haven because it was where I had gotten sober. Um, though for me, it was like my sobriety was very geographical. I don't think it was like it was like, here I am everywhere I go, I see people I know that are sober. The town is so small, you know, there's a treatment center on every corner. And you know, it's just, and I had never been outside of that realm, I don't think so. It was very situational. So I moved back home to California because my dad had been diagnosed with cancer, and so I wanted to be closer to him. And you know, I thought I was great. I was going to go to AA when I got to California. I was going to do what I needed to do. And I went back home. I went to a meeting. I raised my hand. I said, I'm new. I have 2.5 years sober. And no one came up to me after the meeting. And I was like, no way. No, are you kidding me? So then, and when I was in Florida, I was like a big book thumper. You know, I was like, could recite the doctor's opinion to you. I mean, you know, page 417, you got it. And that was my thing, you know? So when I got home, I was like, this is not AA. And I did the whole comparison thing, you know, and it got me in trouble. I convinced myself that, well, it got really bad when I was just doing drugs. So I can drink, you know, and that was a progressive, like after I moved home, it would probably have been 3 or 4 months. And I took a drink, and progressively it got worse. No one in my family knew I was drinking. I was working, I was working at the treatment center that my dad had been through and then worked at. And I was drinking on the job. And that's something that I'm really, to this day, very shameful about. Cause I was doing intakes with clients, you know, with a tumbler of alcohol in it. And I put people's lives, you know, I mean, sobriety in danger, and it, something that I'm still not proud of. And, you know, I was drinking with my coworkers, probably not the best work environment, you know, but, and, you know, I mean, it just got worse every day. And then my dad died, and it got even worse. You know, I started drinking in the morning again. And my life was miserable. And I talk about, like, I had an physical bottom with like heroin, and this, I didn't go back to that. I was just drinking, and I had one of the worst bottoms, you know, emotionally. And so, you know, after he died, I said, well, you're either going back to treatment, or you're on the street. And I, you know, I had my own place, but I was like partly living with her at the time, just because we were both mourning. So there's a dog going up the stairs. Okay. Anyway. So, you know, I was such a little shithead. I went back to Florida, and I still thought, like, I was just like, you know, you guys don't know what I've been through, like whatever. So, I was in detox, and I said, oh, those are anything with the word alcohol, right, would like spur my mind. And I remember the nurse's station, right? They had the little alcohol pads that you wipe on you, right? That you wash your hands with or whatever. And I took those, and I put them in my, like, the fucking Gatorade bottles at the detox, you know, like, who does that? No, I don't, someone that's in a lot of pain and dealing, and someone that's just an alcoholic. And, you know, they literally saw me passed out on the couch with these alcohol pads in my Gatorade bottle, you know, like, who the fuck does that? And I think at that point I was like, this is not doing it for me anymore. You know, I was still miserable. I was still angry, you know, I had a lot of things. So I think that time, and that was that was almost 4 years ago. I realized that like all the other times I was doing it for my family. I was doing it for the person I was dating. I was doing it to look good, on the outside. While inside, I'm still this miserable person who's trying to figure out who I am, and alcohol, and trying to find it in alcohol, and trying to stay sane, because everything on the outside I could not handle, and on the inside. So, I mean, I got, that was, that was almost 4 years ago. And, since then, I think my life has been through a lot of ups and downs. And the first time I tried to get sober, I thought, well, everything's going to be great now that I'm sober, and it's not. I mean, life is progressively better, but I still have to deal with everything, right? Life on life's terms, what they say. And so, I mean, I started doing the work. I got a sponsor. I I had the same sponsor from before, and she said, "We just need to get you through these steps because you need to help someone else." And that's what I did. And had a couple sponsees, and took them through the steps, and it was one of the most rewarding things that I ever did. And I know I talk in here about a lot because about like having a therapist and having having someone that is like, for me it was like authority. Like, I didn't like authority. I don't like someone telling me what to do, but when I had someone else next to me that's been through the exact same thing that I've been through, or having the same feelings around it, then I can listen. My ears open a little bit more, because it's not, I was in therapy since I was 5 years old, and it never worked for me. And I have a therapist today, and I listen to her, but I've had a psychic change, and I'm open to those things. So, I mean, and today, since I've been sober, it's a little, my life has progressively gotten better. And when I got sober, I didn't know about, I knew about a higher power, but I thought that like, all right, like God has really my dad has died, right? Like my boyfriend broke up with me, I mean, everything, my mom, my family doesn't want to talk to me. Like, God, like, what more can you throw my way? And so like, I just didn't, I was angry at God. And so my conception of God at the very beginning, I remember sitting in detox and like thinking like I'm not, like, I don't believe in you, I don't like you really. And today, I mean, that has changed immensely. I always say, like, every day I learn a little bit more about my higher power, because the God of my understanding is like one that I don't really understand, and that I am seeking more on a daily basis. And so, that is one of the things that has kept me sober. Another one is like being with you guys, and having that connection to people. When I got sober, I wanted to be a writer, and I went to school for songwriting and journalism and writing. I love writing. So I reached out to like a local publication in in the city I was living in. And I said, hey, like, I'll write for you guys for free, just because like I wanted to get my foot in the door. And so I wrote an article, and the guy's like, hey, this is like really, this is cool. I like it, And he said, I own this other website called Sober Nation. Do you want to write for me? And I said, yeah, sure. That'd be cool. And I mean, it's been almost for 3.5 years. And now I work for his marketing agency, on a full-time basis. And it's, I mean, it's crazy. I couldn't have even, I never even imagined, just we met randomly, and this is, you know, where my life is now, and so it's just insane, and it's just insane, where my life is today. I while I've been sober, I've traveled across country, I've backpacked, I've gone to music festivals, I've moved across the country, you know, I've gone and saw my family. I mean, I've moved to be close to my best friend. I mean, I'm self-sufficient in my life. I'm self-supporting. It's My life is pretty incredible today compared to where it was, you know, 3.5 years ago. And if you would have told me like this is, hey, you'd be living in Rhode Island, you know, working from home, you know, helping your family, being a supportive factor for them, like what? I could have never imagined that. So, you know, I mean, my life today is a product of, you know, the 12 steps, my higher power, you know, the work that this program has given me. And, you know, I mean, it's really, so a year ago, you know, Tim had this idea and he said, hey, like, why don't we just like get a community going, you know? And I was like, oh, that's kind of risky, you know? And I was like, I don't know. He's like, let's just try it, you know? So we started Sobriety Engine, and it's just, my high power just works in some crazy ways, because little did we know like COVID would be happening, right? Like in the next couple months. And like this has been such a life-saving thing for me, and just meeting all you got, like it's just, I just can't even like fathom it, you know? Like because you guys are my family, and I don't know like where I would have never, first of all, I've never been able to move across the country without having some sort of community like this in my life, you know? And so it's just really been such a blessing. And my, you know, my passion is this, you know, I mean, I've worked in the treatment industry for a long time, but like this and this community and like just the authentic like relationships just keeps me going on a daily basis. You know, like waking up and seeing messages, and like we have like a girls chat, you know, like it keeps me going. And I just love it. And my life is such a blessing today. And you know, these past 3.5 years have been such a wild ride. Like I can't imagine the next 3.5 years. And just having my family in my life. I think my mom's still listening, you know, I mean, crazy. I just, anyway, I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna get emotional. I'm gonna get emotional now. But I love you guys, and I just really appreciate you guys listening to me rant and listening to my story. You know, each one of you, I love all you guys. So I think that's all I have.
Dude, Tori, you are a rock star, and I agree. Higher powers are crazy. I think whatever position you're in right now to be you know, in Sobriety Engine and your recovery is you're more than deserving of it. You know, a couple. You said so much shit that I was just like, hey, another person's telling my story. What a surprise! But you know, one of the things that I touched on earlier was I call it outlier syndrome, because a lot of my life I was always like, why can't I fit in? I'm always on the outside. I'm not good enough. And that led to a lot of my dysfunctional thinking in my life. I was also in and out of a shit ton of institutions, like prove the world wrong mentality, all of this shit. You just told my story again. So thank you for your share. Thank you for offering your service. Thank you for creating this platform. Thank you for being awesome and giving us all these great words. Does anybody want to get in here and chat with Stephanie threw her hand up fast? Okay, go ahead, Stephanie.
Tori, you told my story faster and better than I could have. Girl, like, I had an eating disorder and that led to my addiction so fast, just like yours. And I was always trying to please everyone else. And guess who I wasn't pleasing? Myself. And that's what you did too. And girl, if you didn't please yourself, you wouldn't be on this platform. You wouldn't be here right now helping all these people. Like, I wouldn't be here and sober today without you. And that just hit me so hard when you started sharing. And I thank you so much for being the strong, kind-hearted, wholesome human being that you are. And don't ever forget that and keep fighting because you deserve it. And that's really all I have to say. Just, I really relate to you, and I would definitely be reaching out to you all the time, but just don't ever forget it, please.
Thank you, Stephanie, for reiterating how awesome Tori is tonight. I agree, she is awesome. Does anybody else have anything to share with Tori to tell her how awesome she is? Susan, go for it.
Hi, Tori. I just have to say, I have to share. I am so proud of my daughter. Whew, I'm getting emotional. It's been a long road, and because of Tori, it's led me to Al-Anon, and I'm very, very involved in Al-Anon and giving service. So we each have our own recovery, and me being Tori describing her whole journey, and reliving that again. I love to listen to her share. I used to just, when I would hear her share before, I just sobbed through the whole thing. But today I can smile, and I know where I'm at, and the only reason I'm at where I am is because of her and her journey. So I remember I had a friend tell me, whose daughter was in treatment with Tori, just visualize her coming to your house and sitting down and having a conversation. At that time, I didn't think that was possible. But, years later, here we are. And I'm just so thankful. I'm thankful for this community. And it gets me through too. So I don't know what else to say. I just had to say, I'm so proud of you, Tori. And every time I hear you share, it just inspires me more and more. And I'm so thankful that you give service to everybody. So thanks.
Thank you for sharing, Susan. And I think it's also really cool that you guys can sit in this meeting together, because I would probably be hesitant to, share my whole story with my people in the room with me. So the fact that you guys can sit here and have good communications between a mother and daughter is very, very impressive to me, and I support that too. Craig and Desiree, what do you guys got to say tonight?
My name is Craig, and I'm an alcoholic. And I wasn't stalking Tori, but I've actually followed her for the last few years. And when she was on the other platform, and they were doing live broadcasts on a Wednesday night, I think it was. And I used to, the things you say, Tori, I've never told you this, but I'm like in a trance when I listen to you, because there's so much of the stuff that you've done and gone through that kind of remind me of where I've been and what I've done. And our stories are a little bit different, but you know what? We all ended up in the same place. And you were talking about COVID and how all of a sudden, coming on almost 9 months ago now, coming onto this site and seeing you again, and I don't believe in coincidences. I believe that, I found the site, and still listening to you, I just want to thank you. And you know what? The service that you do for us, I don't know where I would be if I didn't have Sobriety Engine for the last 9 months. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing, Craig. And it's cool backstory that you knew Tori before her massive breakout on Sobriety Engine. So there's some, yeah. Leo, do you want to go?
Yeah, Tor, thanks for sharing. While you were talking, you mentioned part of your work was you were finding out who you were. Believe it or not, folks, I have a therapist that I see quite regularly, and he asked me a question on Monday, and he said, "Who are you?" And I got mad at him. I said, "What the hell kind of question's that? I don't know who I am. You're supposed to tell me. You're the psychologist, man. That's why you get all that big money, You're supposed to tell me." He said, "No, you have to figure out who you are." And I said, "Well, I can't answer that right now. I have no idea who I am." He said, "All right, well, we're going to talk again in 3 weeks. Come up with an answer." So I've got homework. Tori, who are you?
Am I supposed to answer that right now, Leo? Oh man. I mean, I believe that I was put on this earth to help people. I'm a strong woman who's been through some shit, but who is enjoys listening to talk radio and taking naps to golf on TV. But I'm Tori. I don't know. That's all I am.
How hard it is for like someone like me to even say like I am Travis and I'm enough. Like for someone in active addiction to even be able to say that is a fucking miracle. Like we are some strong human beings. After listening to Tori's story, and I know that there are stories who are worse, who have gone through some crazy things, and some who haven't gone through as much, but there are an impressive amount of parallels in all of our brains, people, and it's great to be able to relate like this. Billy, were you gonna get in and share?
Yeah, I'm Billy, an alcoholic in recovery who woke up this morning and didn't think about drinking. And I had no clue who was going to be the speaker tonight, but I found out. And it was a very awesome share. I can relate with part of your share, and I can relate to the fact that you went to very, very deep waters when you talk about the heroin. Not too many people like to share about that, of what they did, uh, you know. But I could identify with that, and I know that's very, very deep waters. A lot of people don't make it out. They don't make it out. So it's fair for me to say that you have a loving God in your life. and he was protecting you the same way he protected me, and he's protecting all these beautiful people here in the Hollywood squares. You know, because if it wasn't for that, um, I definitely know I wouldn't be here. I definitely know that. You know, so yeah, I have to stay, you know, in the right lane, which is in recovery. Um, God works in mysterious ways. That's why, you know, you shared about how they came up to you and told you about creating some platform. The next thing you know, COVID hits. And the next thing you know, here we are, all of us. That is definitely for me, God working, that's for sure. You know, that's the way God works in mysterious ways. So we've been blessed by that and by having these meetings now, and we can, you know, share and get people in here in recovery, you know. So again, I really want to thank you for your share. It was awesome. And we all need to keep coming back.
Thank you for giving your words of wisdom as always, Billy. I know that I always appreciate your share, and I find myself from time to time saying, I woke up today grateful that I didn't drink, and I know that I learned that from you. Couple more minutes left, guys. Anyone got anything that they want to ask Tori while she's on the hot seat, or see if we can get any embarrassing stories from her mom, or, you know, there's got to be.
I'm Dennis Alcoholic. One question I got for Tori is that a picture of her that I get every day when that mail comes to me about this program?
A picture of me?
Yeah.
It might be I mean, I don't know if there's a picture. It sends okay, Leo says yes. I guess so.
Yeah, okay, well, it's nice to meet you. Now I know I know you a little better. But you reminded me of a lot of my chaos of treatments. You traveled around a lot more than I did to treatment, though. But I was a geographical drug addict and an alcoholic. And I moved around a lot. I spent 10 years working on the Trans-Alaska Pipeline. And I had my issues with alcohol, and I would switch seats on the Titanic. You know, I'd quit alcohol for a while and switch to Coke. And then that was my behavior the whole time. And for 35 years, I was talking to my dad earlier tonight. He's got, I think I got 12 years, and I think he's got 17 or 20, but I got to take him to the international AA conference in San Antonio in 2010. I didn't get to take him. My brother brought him, and I hadn't made amends to him. And one of the most things, you know, you talked about your higher power and having, trying to set up a relationship for him. And one of the things I had done in my addiction was I smoked crack in front of my dad, and I said, you do alcohol, you did alcohol, this is what I do. And he started crying. And 2010, I apologized in front of my brothers to him for doing that in a motel room, and he didn't want to have anything to do with me. But that being said, when I got to doing my steps with my sponsor, I had to clean up my side of the street, no matter how those people feel, you know. And I had said I'm sorry so many times that nobody even believed me, you know, you're full of shit. But the bottom line is this, I had to show them. And how I show them is that I'm a frequent attendee at meetings like this one. And, you know, like when I go visit my daughter, she lives in Portland, and I would cut out on Saturday night, hey, I'm going to a meeting, you know, at 7 o'clock Saturday night, you know, didn't you come down here and visit us? I said, I'm only going to be gone an hour and a half. And her husband drinks a lot, and that was a good excuse for me to get out of the house, so I don't have to see that. But, you know, looking for a higher power, I had done a lot of evil stuff in my day. And I never thought that God would forgive me. And I remember when you were talking, one time I had a lot of money on me. And I married the devil. I told the devil, I'm yours. I got women, I got money, I got a good job. The money was from selling coke. And I thought he would never take me back. And through this program, I learned about self-forgiveness. When I was in treatment, I had to get a higher power. And that higher power, I chose the sun because I was pretty convinced for all the other bullshit that I'd done, evil, that a God of my understanding would never take me back. And I've learned self-forgiveness in this program, and I've surrendered to drugs and alcohol. And it was a miracle how I pray. I pray in the morning, I pray at night, I pray during the day. I'm so grateful to breathing air. A gratitude list helps me out a lot. You know, I remember my first gratitude list in my fourth treatment. It took me 4 minutes. And I'm looking around and there's 30 clients in the room and they're all still writing and writing and writing. What the fuck are you grateful for? You know, today I'd be writing on my gratitude list probably for 4 or 5 days. I don't know, but once in a while, I'll take a sponsee to a meeting before the COVID thing, and I just during the meeting, I'll be writing down a gratitude list, and you know, one of them's really amazed, man. It turned him around, seeing me doing a gratitude list, and you know. Like I said, I'm grateful for breathing air today. I'm grateful my feet hit the ground. I'm grateful that I get to go play in the ocean for a little bit. I'm grateful that it's raining out. I'm grateful it's snowing a blizzard. I would be happy as a clam in the morning when it's downpouring rain and no sunshine. Now, something's wrong with that picture, but that's the way I really felt. And my higher power has a plan for me because all the bullshit I've been through and I've put other people through, I should not be here. And I don't know if you guys are aware of the Day of the Dead. It was a couple days ago. Here I'm in Mexico, and they were celebrating Day of the Dead. And while I was at this having dinner and watching their dance and their show and their music, I reflected on all the dead people I know. And, you know, we were talking about it the other day at a meeting here. I've been to more funerals than I have weddings. And that is, death doesn't touch me like it does a lot of other people. Like, I celebrate life more than I grieve it, you know, when I go to a funeral or see somebody crying. But my second year sober, I went to 14 funerals. And where I work in my industry, a lot of alcoholism is there. And 11 out of that 14 had Hep C. And when you drink alcohol and have Hep C, they're all about my age or older. the guys that died. It's like Russian roulette, that FC. I don't know if you younger people would know, but back in the 70s, when you needed blood and you were in a car wreck, they just gave you the fucking blood that they had on the shelf. Your type, you know, they never tested it for HIV or hepatitis C or anything, but it killed a lot of my friends with mixing alcohol with Hep C. But like I said, I'm so grateful. My higher power, that of my understanding, is with me today, and I'm very grateful that you guys are here with me. Thanks a lot. You have a wonderful day.
Thanks for your share, Dennis. We are grateful for your shares and your bright personality. And I don't know if I've ever seen a clam on the sidewalk in a rainstorm, but shit, if you're happy that way, man, I'll, whatever. Anybody else got some last words to say before we let Tori close us out? Going once? Twice? All right, everyone. Thank you for coming here tonight. It was a great share. Great to see all the faces, all the smiles, all the loves, the gratitude, the peace. Tori, what are your last words for us folk of yours?
Thanks, guys. Thanks for another great meeting. Let's just have a moment of silence for the still sick and suffering, and followed by the Serenity Prayer. Yeah. God, grant me the
serenity
to accept
accept things that cannot change.
cannot change.
Courage to
Courage
change things that can
change
change.
things that
And
And the wisdom to know the
wisdom
difference.
to know
all the difference.
Amen.
Amen.
Keep coming back.
It works when you work it. Good job,
Beautiful
Tori.
meeting,
Way to go,
everyone.
Travis. Thank you all.
Tori,
guys.
All right, guys. Love you guys.
love you all.
Night, everybody.